Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I shall be reading next. This is the penultimate one of these videos for the year, which is terrifying but very exciting. I have so much to get done, but as you will know if you are up to date on my life, I actually finished my old job last week and I don't start my new one until a little bit into the new year. So while financially that's a little bit terrifying, emotionally, that's feeling really good. I've got a lot of brain space, I've got a lot of time to film. However, I did immediately sabotage myself with a good thing, in that I have purchased an embroidery machine. So that's what I've been spending my time on instead of reading. So thank goodness it was my rest week last week, and I managed to get a lot of reading done, so I've got lots of things I can tell you about. I think I finished 6 things since last time we spoke. Some of them were fairly chunky, let's talk about them. First up, I finished Brother Song by TJ Klune. This is the 4th book in the Green Creek series. It is not yet out in these covers, but I read an old version of it because my library had a copy. I'm not going to rehash everything I said last week because a lot of it still stands. If you don't like angsty gay werewolf fiction, this probably isn't for you. If you love angsty gay werewolf fiction, this probably is for you. I thought this was a great conclusion to the series. I enjoyed getting to see more of these characters. I'm glad that I read it immediately after having read Heart Song, because a lot of the plot's very continuing on from that. But overall, had a great time with it, would read again. Since I own Wolf Song, it's behind me somewhere. It's here behind me. Do I now need to buy all the other ones? Maybe that's a birthday present idea. After that, we move into a spate of rereads. I reread A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. This is the 2nd book in the Monk and Robot novella duology. I really like this. On a reread, I think it was much stronger than the first time I read it. When I initially read this, I felt like it kind of paled in comparison to A Psalm for the Wild Built, but actually, I really enjoyed the way that this explores the idea of purpose in a very similar way to how book 1 does, but I felt like it's underrated. I underrated this, and I do think it's really good, and I'm excited to talk about it in an upcoming video. I then finished a reread of The River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the short story collection, 4th book, however you want to look at it, in the Daevabad series, which I am going to be filming the review for today, so I need to keep my thoughts as fresh as possible. I really like this as a short story collection. I believe originally when I reviewed it I had done the audiobook, so it was nice to read it physically. This is the first book I've bought in probably 6 months, so that was very exciting, and I'm looking forward to having it sit with the other ones up here. Oh, isn't that lovely? Yeah, I had a really good time. I think it's a great short story collection. It stands true to the rest of the books. It adds to the series. It's a great time. Honestly, this was just a series of really enjoyable rereads. I reread Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is an original fairy tale. It is so good. We have a 3rd sister who sets out on a seemingly impossible quest to try and save her sister from a terrible, truly terrible marriage. And it's so good. I'd forgotten loads of things about it, so it was kind of like reading it new for the first time and then rediscovering old friends along the way. A great story, a great found family, interesting adventuring party kind of story. I recommend this so much. I do believe I already have a review video up for it, so if I remember, I'll link that so you can check it out. And I reread The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Having talked about this all year, I was so looking forward to doing a reread, and I was slightly nervous that I wasn't going to love it as much, but actually, it's really good. I'm really glad that I've been recommending this all year because it stands true. It's such a great cozy fantasy book. Found family again, I'm a sucker for it. A romance that's lovely, some kids that aren't annoying, magic, learning to be a witch. It's a great time. It has me so excited for Sangi Mandana's next book coming out next year. Ooh, I'm hyped for it. And lastly, I finished a book that I was unsure if I would read it this year. I was unsure if I would read it at all at one point, but my library reservation finally came in. I'm going to hold it up very briefly because it's very shiny. I read Murtagh by Christopher Paolini. Okay, so my history with this series, just in case you haven't been around or you haven't watched my Inheritance Cycle video, I read and loved the Inheritance Cycle so much when I was a teenager. It was my entire identity. I very nearly got a tattoo in the ancient language. I was in it, okay? And I grew up and I read more fantasy and I kind of went, okay, these have a special place in my heart and I have a lot of nostalgia factor for them. I don't think they are the best things that have ever been written. And I don't want to summon the rabid Christopher Paolini fans into my comments, so that's all I shall say here. While I talk about my experience reading Murtagh, know that that's the context I'm coming from. I have a lot of nostalgia for this series, but I also am very aware that it's not always amazing. Also, I will say slight spoilers for the inheritance cycle. I will put a skip in if you don't want to know any more. So we follow Murtagh, who is a character from the original cycle. He is an emo dragon rider boy, so as you can imagine, I was obsessed with him as a teenager. And I was really excited, privately in my heart of hearts. My inner child was delighted he was getting his own book. This was a good book. In a lot of ways, it had a lot going for it. I liked the character. I thought it was an interesting exploration. There was a cool plot happening in the background. I don't think it's the be-all and end-all of writing fantasy books, but I had a good time with it. I will say, it's a doorstop. It looks really chunky. I think it is inflated by font size. It is truly enormous font, which I'm not complaining about as somebody who likes to read large print books. It's not as long as it's pretending to be. We can hold it up in comparison to A Day of Fallen Night, and they look very similar size. This is much longer. This is not a long book. It didn't take very long to read. I think I read it in maybe a day and a half. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't think people who aren't already fans of the inheritance cycle are going to pick it up and suddenly their eyes will be opened to a whole new world of wonder. But I would be interested to read more, and I'm glad that I read it. I'm really glad that I read it, and I think I'm going to have to sit and formulate some full thoughts and make a full review video. But know that I have picked this up, and my teen self has been, in a lot of ways, satisfied. There are some things that were missing that I will be potentially resurrecting an old fanfiction account in order to write for myself, because I deserve them. Then I get into what I am currently reading, which is what I ought to be reading instead of reading angsty dragon books. The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I am 140 pages into a reread of this, and I am enjoying it. I'm not really sure what's stopping me from finishing it. I think there's too much going on in my life for me to read a book that has a lot going on and retain the information, and I want to give this its best shot possible, so I'm going to try and sit down and read it properly at some point, maybe tomorrow? And then I'm about 75% of the way through Jen Lyon's Talon Sister, which I am doing as an audiobook. I had a review copy of the audiobook. I really like this as a story. I think it's very cool. We've got the idea of there's multiple threads to it. It's a very much that kind of fantasy story where you follow different parties, interconnected but disparate plot threads. But we have griffins, we have a human being raised by griffins, we have Druin who walk the forest paths, ex-soldier exploring what it means to now be free of war. There's a lot of really good storytelling tropes in there. I have a feeling I'm going to absolutely love this book when it's done. I think it's going to give me a lot of emotions. It isn't listed as being part of a series, but I have no idea how they're going to finish off plot threads in the next 25%. However, that is a very long 25%, so maybe I'm wrong. Overall, really loving that. And then also all the things that I was reading before. I haven't finished them, but I don't want to talk about them because it makes me too sad. Still to read this week, I have finished The Unbroken, and then I want to read The Faithless. I don't know if that's going to happen. This might push into next week. We're going to see how busy things get at Christmas time. I also have Dreadnought by April Daniels, and I would really like to read the sequel, which is Sovereign. I know book 3 isn't out yet. There's not really any sign of it, but I would really like to read the second one before I make a video on it, just because I think that would make me feel better in terms of completeness. And then if I manage to do all of that, I would probably continue on with those books that have been sat on my currently reading shelf for maybe 6 weeks now. That's the state of play at the moment. I've not added any books to my TBR as far as I remember. I've not got any new releases to talk about because who releases books in the last 2 weeks of the year? Not that many people. But yes, I've had a lot of fun making all of my kind of end of year lists, so top books, books I missed this year. I've been having a lot of fun chatting over those things with my ghost pals over on Patreon, and yeah, I'm excited to turn them into videos for you guys. I've got a couple of them filmed already. They might come out early next year just because there's not a lot of time left this year, but we'll see. It might be a Christmas gift to all of you. What have you been reading? What are you trying to close out the end of the year with? I'm desperately trying to manage whether I can hit my 100,000 pages read goal or not. I think it might be too tricky at this point. With the embroidery machine and everything else I've got to do, it might not happen, but maybe it could happen if I really knuckled down. I'm trying not to be an overachiever about it. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know how things are going for you down in the comments below. While you're commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I'd like to say an enormous thank you to all those ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, access to my weekly live streams, and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. First up, I finished Brother Sung.